Hey everyone, welcome to the live show between me and Dave over here. Well, it's been a while since I actually been on YouTube and published the content, and yeah, life just got busy. But I'm ready to rock and roll with more new content, and it's going to be coming. I've been working on some videos, and I do want to present it in a certain style. That's why one of the reasons why it's taken me so long, because I basically finding my style out there. So yeah, for this video, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be exploring AI, and essentially we're going to be looking at it every Thursday at 9:45. So yeah, we're going to be going through all that kind of good stuff. Dave is going to be leading the charge on this one. And Dave, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Andrei, thanks, man. I'm David Cobb. I've been maybe an IT coming up on, I don't want to say how many years, but close to 30 years, but been focused on Azure just since end of 2019, beginning of 2020. And I'm teaching Azure as a Microsoft certified trainer and doing consulting work around Azure just for a few clients and working on my own as a freelance trainer and consultant. So this last year, I've been just diving into AI, back to being a noob and just overwhelmed by the options and the choices. But I am having a lot of fun learning this. And I'm really happy to join you today, Andrei. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, I know I taught I one or two before for my company, and it was a lot of fun, and I could see a lot of good applications of it. So I'm like looking forward to actually getting into the whole bit. What are we exactly planning for today? What would be the plan?
Okay, the closest thing I've got to a plan is to work with the Azure AI Studio. So it's in preview. It's a public preview. I've got the deployment of a GPT-4 model, and I'm working with the studio as it helps me to create an index of my own data. I'm experimenting with adding some text for some writing I've done a few years ago, and I'm wondering, hey, if I pull this into an index, can I talk to the large language model and ask it about my writing? Maybe you could summarize, maybe you could draw out the key points. Because a few years ago, I got really excited with this concept called building a second brain, kind of like scaffolding for your mind. So a way to capture your different projects and the different things that you're working on and have an organized process for this. And I used a tool called Obsidian to write in this format, and it all uses Markdown. So I'm wondering, hey, what if I took those files? I haven't touched it in a long time. But if I pull it in, maybe I can build an index and ask a large language model about the writing that I put together. So I'm just wanting to try something, and we're going to try this out together.
Yeah, that sounds like it has a lot of useful applications as well. There in the real world, there's probably a ton of companies that have so much like data, notes. I mean, you name it, documents that actually do need to get searched and found. You know, because yeah, the amount of companies where I've been in where it's like, oh, we had this document, but it's somewhere, it's on some sort of file drive or some, well, we get AI to try and find where that content is. That can help. But yeah, I mean, yeah, looking forward to getting into it. So, do you want to? Shall we go in? Shall we dive into it? Yeah.
All right, let's go.
I will add your screen over here.
All right, fantastic. So yes, if you're interested in this set of tools, there's a preview already out for Azure AI Studio, and and there's a lot of other tools. This is kind of the newest of the set of tools, and man, AI is changing fast. The tool sets that come in from Azure is changing really fast. So I'm just catching up as well. Like I'm always trying to learn. For folks that want to play with this, you have to actually request it. So if you've got your own Azure account and you want to request access, there's a link here. I'll put it in the chat. This is let me see. Actually, you know what? I'll look it up this way, because Azure's OpenAI interface, this gives you access to the GPT models. So the GPT 3.5, GPT 4, and those versions that some people are already working with this in chat about openai.com, that URL that's for chat GPT. Here, let me share this link. So it's the same set of models, but we get to build solutions around these models using our Azure infrastructure. So if you go to that page, that's the documentation for Azure OpenAI service. And you're able to request access here by filling out this form to get access to it, be able to provision your own models to be able to play with it.
Could you copy that link? You've added it to the chat. Yeah, let me just put in a comment for everyone to see. So it's over here.
Oh, there's a live chat. So I'm going to click the link to connect to the YouTube live chat. I'm not sure which.
So this is the link, but I've put in a comment, so you should just be able to copy and paste it.
Yeah, I'm not sure which account I should use for the live chat.
There's a comments over here. If you see a comments section, you should see private chat, and then there's a comments. I think you should see it.
Yeah, but so I'm going to need to connect to it really quick. So I haven't re-authenticate with YouTube.
Yeah, but yeah, let's not worry too much about that one. I've pasted it in the comments. I'll paste anything that you paste in a private chat anyway. So but yeah, if you go for it, and so how do I? Yeah, so this tells you how you would access the Azure OpenAI, and you have to put an application for it.
Yeah, so they give you a form to fill out. So I'm in.
Is the process easy to apply? Is it like, can anybody get this, or is it something that's specific to, that's what I'm just trying to. I mean, I know a couple of people that have tried this seem to be okay, but I'm just wondering your experience from this.
I'm going to defer to people to read this. So you need to be an eligible customer, and you need to submit with a business email, not a Yahoo or Gmail account. So they tell you that here, and there's more information about what you can do.
Actually, it says applications. Oh, right. Yeah. So so you need a business email. So yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So,
then I was able to get this with my IT workspace one, and this is just I'm a solo person, so you should be able to get this as long as you have a business of some sort created.
Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah. So I don't. I haven't heard of him that's not able to get access to it yet. So, and when you turn this on, what that gives you when you're actually, let's go before I go there. Let's go to actually the portal here. So this is kind of like my dev environment where I'm learning and trying different things. And Azure OpenAI is just another resource that we can deploy. And the way that they're coming out with different features and services that you can try, different models. And there's a couple of features that Microsoft's coming out with I'm really excited about. So working with assistants is really interesting. So there's only certain regions that's supported. So I've deployed that to Sweden Central. And playing around with agents as well. I've deployed this to, there's a couple regions that supports East US 2. So you have to figure out what's the feature that you're wanting to try and what region you want to use. So I'm using East US 2 for what we're talking about now.
Okay. What will be the difference between assistants and agents? Or are you going to explain this in a little bit?
Yeah, let's get there. So if I look at this instance of Azure OpenAI, so I'm able to work with it. Primarily, I'm going to work with it through either Azure AI Studio, which is what I want to show you today. This is the one that's in preview. And there's also an Azure Open AI Studio. So this one's been around a little bit longer. I'll show you this one first. So notice the URL here, oai.azure.com. So the Azure Open AI Studio. So you'll notice that when you open this, the idea here is there's a big set of Azure AI services. It's not just the large language model, right? As you know, you've been playing around with some of these other tools, right? So they're trying to simplify the way that we're developing with these by giving us consistent interface for the different types of tools, right? So I'm able to click here and jump around between different ones. Probably the deepest tool, Azure Machine Learning. It's most full feature, but it's also complicated. There's a lot of capabilities there, and it's a deep tool. So I'm exploring either the Azure AI Studio here, and then some we have worked with these other ones. When you're doing AI 102 and AI 900 with either Azure AI Engineering or Azure AI Fundamentals, you kind of get to touch each of these. And the way you play with them mostly is with the Studio. So here in Azure OpenAI, I can come in and play around with things like DALL-E or work with assistants, bringing in data, things like that. So I can try out different things. Actually, let's just click on something real quick. If I go to Chat Playground here, there's a ability to set up your assistant. So if you're working with large language models, you know that there's like a system message or the system prompt that you use, and they give you a set of different ones you can come up with. Hey, you're a marketing writing assistant, and that'll update the system message. And then over here, I can pick my deployment. I didn't show you the deployments yet. I'll show you that here in a moment. But just for fun, I'll use the GPT-3.5, and then I'll do the. So I'll say, you're a marketing writing assistant. Help me market Andrei's new YouTube stream.
Thanks.
All right, and then hopefully this thing's responding. Okay, so that's the GPT-3.5 model. Oh, it's very helpful. I hope you're spending some time with ChatGPT to make sure that you're doing all this correctly. And then here's the GPT-4 version. So if I switch the model, new chat session starts. So I get different results. Help me market new YouTube stream. Right. And it's a little bit slower because it's got more parameters. It's in more demand, and it actually it costs more. But you'll notice the big difference in how how the experience here as I'm waiting for this thing to respond. So as they get more capacity and build out more capacity, getting more chips, and this should perform better. But right now the difference between them is pretty dramatic. And I think part of it too is, depending on the region that I'm in, and maybe there might be other factors. I mean, I'm not getting maybe I'm using a very busy resource and I'm not in the front of the line for the resources there. Right? So I can come in here and start playing with this. I can mess with the chats, the prompts here and so forth. And over here on the left, I mentioned the models here. I'll leave the chat for now and just go over to the deployments. So depending on the region that you're in, you're able, in order to work with something, you'll have to deploy one or more models. So I've deployed a couple different ones. So GPT-4, GPT-3.5, and specific versions. Text embedding Ada. This is a model for if you want to create an index that's searchable. You want to take data and embed it into an index. This is the model that you use right now. This is the most popular model for doing that. Then there's a whisper model for text to speech and speech to text. This is a new model I was playing around with. But if you want to create a new deployment here, if I come in and deploy, I can deploy a model from Azure Machine Learning, or I can select a model that's available to me. And some of these are not available. Like if I try to get GPT-32K, I don't have access to that. So even though I've requested access to OpenAI, I might still need. There's still newer models that are bigger, more expensive. They may not have access to.
So there's like layers and yeah. Okay. So any new models you might need to request. It's kind of like what, a closed private preview, right? Instead of public preview.
Yeah, and I think basically they're waiting that the companies that have a demand for that and a need for it are going to get be able to access it and get it first. All right. So I can go into these other things here too, but this is Azure AI Open AI Studio. But so that's the one I showed you here. All right, and it has the interaction with all those other features that we looked at and in that top left corner. But here I want to go do something else. I want to go to the Azure AI Studio. So not Azure Open AI Studio. I'm going to the Azure AI Studio. So this is the thing that's in preview.
And as you click on it, I just want to say that if you wanted to start from scratch and create a new AI, you basically need to just create a new resource, right? Which is an agent, or am I wrong?
You're a little bit ahead. So you start off with creating a Azure OpenAI resource, and depending on the region that you're in, they're going to have different features available to them, different models, different capabilities for Microsoft. Actually, let me look. Azure OpenAI Assistant. Just as a couple of examples, right? So as they come out with different features, like Azure OpenAI Assistant. So if you want to build your own AI assistant, tailor to your needs, custom instructions, advanced tools like code interpreter, custom functions. So you have to go figure out which region you're going to have access to it. So I think, oh yeah, let's look at this models page. Maybe this is helpful. Well, this is part of it. I'll share this to you in the chat. You can share this. This is what models are available and the version of those models and which regions they're in. So that's why I had something deployed in Sweden. And then that's why I've got something deployed in East US too. All right. So yeah, other questions you might have on this. So that's just the starting point. Once you have that resource, you're going to need to deploy models there. So I don't manage the models from here. That's when we need to go into the studio here. So I just showed you that interface for deploying the models. And then once you have the model, if you're going to programmatically work against it, okay, I'm starting at this point. I'm still learning. I'm not ready to program for this. I'm in here using this playground, right? So that's why I'm using this kind of tool right now. I'm just kind of figuring my way around it. I'm not quite ready to do programming. But when I think
people are trying to get their head in the game and learn how to work with it. So yeah, I'm pretty sure you're not alone.
Yeah, it's going to be a while. Although there's a lot of notebooks, an example where you can kind of grab the notebook, put in your information, and which in order to work with the notebook in Azure, with Azure Open AI, you have to give it your particular key. So this part here is unique to you, right? This part here, .openai.com. And then you have to get the key. So similar to like connecting to storage and other things, you have to go grab your key from the portal, and then you can put that in here, or you can set it up as a secret within your environment, or set it up within Key Vault, so you don't have to put it in your code.
Okay. That's something that we'll explore later, how to do that.
Yeah, we'll come back to this. So all right, so then this is the Azure, this is the Open AI Studio, and then this is the cool new thing. This is Azure's AI Studio. So this is specifically, I believe that they're focusing here on being able to build the agents, that basically to build Copilot and things like that. So if you want to build your own custom Copilot and these kind of things, and it's set up around this concept of creating these AI hubs and a set of resources within each of those. So I've actually got a few of these already opened. I've been creating them in different regions. Let me go to this one. This is the local one. This is the one that's in East US 2. And then within these, you create projects. I've already created one, and it will group the related resources that you need, like storage, containers, all that stuff. It kind of groups it in a similar environment that's easy for developers to access. So it becomes it simplifies connecting to all of the resources and authenticating to all the resources when you're building a project. So the one I was working with, this one here. So I've got a couple of resources. I've been playing around with creating different data sets. I'm actually playing around with creating different indexes that I can search with my text data. But there's something I'm struggling to figure out, because if I go to go back to Explore, let's explore, no, build. Project. Yeah, there it is. So the challenge is, yesterday I created, and I've been trying out different ways of doing this. And yesterday I was able to create. Notice here, this is the same kind of thing. This is also a playground, right? And it has this, though. It has add your data. So right here, I can start exploring, how do I get my data into an index that this model can search? So I've actually created an index already. So let me see if this works, and then now, yesterday when I was playing with this, I created them, but they didn't show up right away. This is a really new tool, so it's a little strange to work with. But I created this index yesterday. Let me see if I can query it, okay? And then we'll go back and we'll create another version of it so you can see the process.
Sure.
So when you build these, there's different ways, there's different levels of complexity in how to create this index, and this gets into a lot of terms and terminology that I don't want to. I'll give it the 1-minute version. So when you take text, you have to turn the text into tokens. You've heard of this concept of tokens working with AI. So those can be turned into a numerical value that can be embedded into this which was the model? What was the name of it? The embedding. That was here. It gets pulled into this text embedding ADA 002 model, right? You know what? Here, let me do this. There's a guy named Greg Cameron, I think, Data Independent. And 5 layers index, I think it was something like this. He has a really good explanation of data independent index. 5 levels of text splitting. So I'm going to share this one. This guy is brilliant. He's awesome. Explainer. He comes at this from a data perspective, a data background, like data engineering background, and he's just dived deep into AI. So he's a super, super amazing resource. I've subscribed to him, not in this browser. But he talks about the different levels of text splitting, and we're trying to figure out what's the best way to take a set of arbitrary text and break it into pieces, and then convert those pieces into these embedded values that can then make up the index. So there's a lot of smarts that are built in. So you see those different ways that they approach it. This currently, the cool way that we're using this, they're combining this vector approach with a keyword approach. So each of these are different algorithms. So you got these really smart people at Microsoft and other places that are figuring out what's the best way to load data into the model. And I don't understand what all those things do, but I'm just trying to pick the best way. So I'm just trying to pick the most recent Lego set and plug into that. Which right now, this is the one that plugs into that. Okay. So now that I've added this data, let me see if I can query it. Okay. So I'm going to try to use. Actually, actually, can I use GPT 3.5? Let me see here. I'm not going to use speaking. There's a way I can actually show you with that whisper model. This thing actually supports being able to speak to it and having it speak back. That's another feature I can show you, but that's not what I want to focus on.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, we got a couple comments. What was that? Is here? I'll let you put those out there. All right. So let me see. Can you summarize the key points from my writing? So remember, I have some text that's in Markdown that I put into this index when I was building my second brain. And I was putting in different notes and different ideas. And this is all from a few years ago. So I don't believe I can do this with ChatGPT 3.5. I think I need to use version 4. Right. So I've got the data source here. So I'm going to ask it the same question. And I've had a couple times where it just lost access to my information. I'm hoping that's not what happens now. But just the fact that this index is here and it's been registered here, it should know what I'm talking about. It should go look for that. Yep, cool. So it's looking at all of these notes, and it's this big collection of text documents, Markdown files, and it goes through, assesses them, and comes up with summaries. Right. But see, again, it's slow right now because it's probably overutilized right now. They're probably way more demand than supply for this service.
But these are your notes, and your notes that you want to essentially summarize. Use, as an individual to be gone through those notes. This will take you days, I think, even and this will help you. Pick out the key points. Is this what you're looking for?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, I've written a couple of posts from these kind of things, but I've written a lot more that I just never really felt ready to share. Like, hey, just a bunch of half-started ideas, kind of half-baked. Hey, this could be something if I spend a lot of time with it, but hey, I get distracted, and then I've got these notes somewhere. I'm interested in ChatGPT to help me to kind of resurrect some of those notes and maybe look for useful ways to combine them and put them together. Right. So, I remember talking one time about, I don't know how many people I run into that don't have a GitHub account and they're working in the cloud. It's like, look, you need GitHub. This is something that's going to help you to learn. And so I remember writing a little note about that. And so here now it's summarizing it for me. So a little bit about second brain. Oh, and notice here, each of the responses here has a little superscript here. This goes back to my references. So one of the cool things about these indexes is, I don't know if you guys can read that, it's probably too small. But when I was taking this Building a Second Brain course with Tiago Forte, I was writing notes and saving them as these text files. And so now these searches can include, because the index includes a reference back to the original source document. Okay, so that's just makes it super powerful. The ability to go back and find those reference documents, right? So it does. I do notice though, I'm a little challenged here in that this the default for this functionality it's limiting the number of documents it goes after. So if I set this up to a really high number, it might try to get more information and summarize more, but it ends up using more resources. So it's only retrieving 5 different documents to try to answer my question.
Right.
And there's another option here to there's different tweaks. So when you're working with ChatGPT, there's things like temperature and P. There's these different values that you can set. It's going to change the behavior of the model. So there's also options here with the index. So I'm able to change the strictness level. So the higher the strictness, the more it's going to only get its answers from my documents. Whereas I might ask it, hey, can you give me some ideas for writing? It might go out to its own model instead of looking at my documents. So this is pretty neat. Progressive summarization. So that's another skill I got from Building a Second Brain. It's actually this concept of taking in information instead of just reading it, you're writing a summary of it. And the more you summarize it, the more you internalize the information and the more valuable your summary is. So this is actually really on point. This is useful information for me. And I forgot about this. This is all from this is all from 2021. So all right. So I have an index. So any questions about this? What we got here? What do you want? You want to play with it a little bit before we go and look and see how those indexes get built?
So what my points would be, how accurate are you finding the summaries? Do you think they actually portray to what you actually got, or is it something which is not, or is it like, for example, if you did it yourself,
Yeah.
what would you think of the difference between this? Because this is the one thing which I think anybody has to be careful when dealing with AI, is that it is automatic. However, unless the model is fully trained, then it could wind up with inaccurate data. So I'm just seeing how, does it do well for you, or is it like a hit or miss? Just what are your thoughts on this?
So my thoughts is it seems a little bit arbitrary what it picks to summarize.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to tell it, please focus on the most important points and summarize more succinctly. Let's just see what it does with that. So I think some of that is a function of this choice here. So it's only going to consider 5 documents. So if I wanted it to consider 100 documents, I can't do that. If only can, it only is apparently up to 20. And my experiments with this so far is if I drag that over to the right, it gives up and it doesn't give me any response.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, the points that you've 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You read that, you go, oh yeah, that's absolutely true, or is it like, could be. Well, you said it's a bit arbitrary, right? But I just make sure on that, like.
Yeah, it seems like it's just picking, it's cherry picking, and some algorithm said, hey, well, this is the first file that I'm going to look for. Okay, I've got to point out of that first file. Hey, I've got a first, so maybe it's in the algorithm in the large language model, or it may be the way that the index is structured that's affecting what is chosen here. All right, if I looked at all those documents and summarized the key themes, I would definitely pick different things. So some of this feels like a little bit arbitrary. Like it's just, it's whatever, it's got what's surfaced by the algorithm instead of what a person would do. Right. Yeah. So I'm just kind of comparing the second response here. So it talks about progressive summarization, connecting ideas to goals, creativity in the modern age about assembling work. So this is when I was making notes when I was in this class, 80-20 principle, project completion checklist, GitHub, importance of autonomy, trying new things, and overcoming fear to give back to the community is highlighted. So that's a good one, right? So that I can go in and go see the resources here. I can drill into the individual resource. So yeah, when I was actually thinking about this process that I went through in 2020, because I went from being full-time employed to working full-time on my own, and it definitely involved dealing with some overcoming a lot of fear to do that. So I was building that article, and maybe, I didn't ever really publish this, but that's something I would like to put out there. I would think that would be really useful to share with people.
People wanted to hear your story. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. So a lot of this is just trial and error and just throwing it on the wall and seeing what sticks. And the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. If I look at that and say, oh, that's great information, great. If I look at it and say, oh, that wasn't for me, or that wasn't what I wanted, then it's up to me to change the prompt, change the question, maybe change the information that I'm putting in there or the index, right? Try it with a different model, right? So we're here. There's a lot. I'm focused on ChatGPT models, but there's this competition I'm eager to explore. So there's other approaches to take if we don't like what we're getting from this. And yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by the possibility here. But yeah, it does. It's just a machine still. It's not. People that are working with this and think, oh, I'm talking to an intelligent. It's a robot intelligence. I don't get that appearance yet. I can see it still feels like a machine to me.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a large language model, but at the end of the day, it still goes back to that 20 failure principle, right? You get data. If your data is good, then it'll be good. If your data is not that great, then yeah, it's just going to be. So I think that also plays a part. And at the end of the day, people forget that AI is just another. It's kind of like another layer, but it's kind of like software in a way. It's just like it's just intelligent software that works on large language models, and if you have good data, then yeah, of course, and that's why it's very important to make sure that the data set that you are including is good. So this is the thing about the searches, because like this is where the searching comes in really crucial, because most of the time, maybe if you're searching like for lots of documents, how good is that search? That's kind of what I want to explore a little bit more. Like, how good is the search in picking up all of this data and information, right?
Yeah, it's true. So I mean, the thing about DevOps applied to this, like machine learning ops or AI ops. So you'd have a set of, you put in your data, you tune the model, you ask it a set of questions automatically, and you look at the responses maybe automatically and say, all right, it knew how to answer these basic questions. Maybe now I'll give it some more hard questions so that we can make changes and then automatically see, hey, is this improving things or is it getting worse? And
this is what I'm kind of leading to, training the model, right? Because right now you've put in that data, but now you've got to train that model to incorporate the data to how you want it, really, right? So how would you do that if you were going to?
So I know it starts with three things. Well, there's four factors, right? So what's the model I'm using? What's my prompt? What's the system prompt here? There's also parameters, so I can change things like the temperature. So the more temperature, the more random a response.
Okay.
Change P. The P is similar to temperature. Higher P will pick a narrower subset of tokens, giving you more predictable responses, right? So those are variables. Also variables are, how is the index constructed? What approach did I use to build that index? What data got pulled into the index? Another factor. What is the what are the settings around this? So how strict is this? How many documents do I want to pull in here? So it kind of, like, all of those variables that I just mentioned are on top of, or I guess I don't know if they're considered fine tuning or they're in addition to fine tuning. So if I go into fine tuning here, the result that we're trying to get by changing our prompt and the input to kind of get back that information that we want could be done through a series of question and answers, or for updating the system prompt. But for people who understand how to do the fine tuning, it's more work and it's more difficult to do fine tuning. It takes a different set of skills, but it's much more resource effective. You can reduce. You don't have to put in so many tokens of request and get so much verbosity in response. By tuning the model, you can make your subsequent calls more efficient. You're making it work more in the line that you want to work with it. So all of those things, and I'm just learning about those approaches that I'm describing here, would be involved to improve that result, to make it work better.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right. So what will be next? What are we doing next?
Okay, so so I created this index right here. I went in and created and added some data, right? And I told it, hey, here's my index. But let's, oh yeah, I can hide and show this. I can, let's actually go back to the data component over here. And then how did I actually make these, right? How did I make, and I've been playing around with different indexes. The one I just used, I think it was this one, right? So if I want to pull data into this thing, so AI search, this is also called retrieval augmented generation, right? So we can have, I can tell this thing, hey, here's a URL to Azure storage account, and I can give it some information. I'm going to try that now. I can say, hey, I'm going to upload some files and folders and use that as the basis for this. And it's going to build an index and put that into a blob storage account here. And that's where the index data is stored. And then you have that data, and you also have an Azure AI search instance. So this is the index is the storage. The search index or the AI search is the compute that builds the index and updates the index as the data changes, and then responds to requests. So if I want to now, if I've indexed some data here, this is the one I think we're using behind the scenes. It's not this one. Is it this one? Yeah. So I have one free, which you have one free index per subscription, and then I've got a basic one that costs about $70 a month, right?
Okay.
So so the AI search index is here 85 documents, and the vector index size is 1.5 megabytes, and the total storage is 2.2 megabytes, right? So this, I can actually go look at the storage account. I can go see those files. But here, let's build one. Let's build this first here. So we're going to get data with a storage URL. So I can give it data from any of these forms or formats. So the previous time I did this, I just uploaded the files. So this time I've got files that are sitting in an Azure storage account right now. So, by the way, I want to take a tangent to say this, the fact that I'm pulling in data from storage means that the data part of the AI, there's a process here that's going to keep a lot of people very busy. And so people that are data people, data engineers, like reporting engineers, people that work with SQL databases or other kind of databases that manage the data, I think that they're going to be in a good position to retool themselves to be able to be the people that can feed the data to the AI, because ultimately any AI tools that we have are only going to be as good as the data that gets into them, and then how often that data is updated, the way the indexes are built. So data people are going to be in a good place for this.
Yeah, it's almost a new way of, I mean, you're still doing your data job, but instead of working with the actual, data, maybe in SQL, etc., what you're doing essentially is you're going to be working on optimizing for the model, right? Like making sure that that the AI has all the links, that that your data follows a can follow a format that the AI will understand, right? So yeah, that I don't know if that creates a secondary job or not, but yeah, it's because like you still need you still need a little bit of maintenance and everything like that. But like it's just it's a very interesting topic. It's it's something that I have been looking into as well. It's so so
Oh yeah. So let's grab a blob. So let's go get the Windows Azure Storage blob. Is it WASB? I think that's what that stands for. let's see if we can get one of, let's see if we can give it a URL here, storage URL. So right, so we could use OneLake, we could use Data Lake Storage, or we can use this one. So I wonder if I want to do, I think if I use a blob link like this, I think it's going to have a, I have to think about how we're going to authenticate to it, because we're going to put we're going to have to create a SaaS token and put it in here. Let's create a new connection here. So it's going to be Dave AI search storage. I created a markdown container with those markdown files. And ooh, if I use Entra, how is this thing authenticating? I don't know how this thing authenticates. So here, so if I want to do, let's call it AI search store 01 markdown. Just call it that. So, well, you know what? I want to do, I make this.
Could you just put, if you select Entra, sorry,
yeah.
if you go select Entra again, and
yeah,
then there's a question mark or an explanation right at the top next to the.
So I believe I'll have to see if there's an identity that's assigned to my OpenAI instance. Where does the identity go? What's the identity here?
Give it a go. See what happens.
Yeah.
Enter
the path. So it's going to be browse to storage path. Let me do this. Oh, here, view error details. I couldn't read it. This was not authorized to perform this operation using this permission. So I need to give, is it Azure? Is it AI Studio? What here, let me go see if it's, yeah, let's give an identity. Is it the search service that needs it? I'm not clear. Is it going to be the search service that needs it, or is it going to be the OpenAI instance that needs it? Where would I put that identity? Where do I need to associate that identity? It's not telling me what the identity is here. I'm going to guess, I don't know if it fits my search. I'm going to use, let's hope it's this one. So if I turn this one on, if I give this one a system assigned identity, I'm not clear which thing needs the identity though. And Azure role assignments. Can I just add a role assignment right from here? Oh, I can at the role level. Storage. Dave search store. Let's do data contributor. Storage blob data contributor.
We had a comment as well that Dan and Jay is actually saying, hope you guys, he said, hey guys, hope you guys have fun exploring. So yeah, we are having fun. Thanks for joining up.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you for joining. Let's try. So I don't know what's requesting it. So, all right. So that's something to figure out right now. I really want to figure it out. But so if it's not the index, if it's this service that's making that request, but it's not giving me a hint here. Let me do a little search. What's it gonna? What needs the service? I gave it the indexing service, but I haven't actually chosen the index yet. Is it the AI Studio? Actually, you know what? I've already added the data source, AI project settings. I wonder if it's in here. Maybe it's the AI hub that needs the permissions.
Yeah, you've got what, group and application permissions, right? So over there you have 2 permissions. But yeah, okay. I mean, you could try the API endpoints and keys if you want. I mean, but yeah, we can try to figure this out.
I want to do it the right way, but yeah, we're under a time crunch, right? So I've got another, what is it, 5:35? Oh, we only have over 10 more minutes. Oh, I want this to work. All right, so we'll figure that out. Let me make a note. So
we'll figure out next week.
All right. So how do we do with Entra ID? Right, and let's make a hate to do this part though, where I'm using the access key. It just feels like cheating. It's not as secure as it could be.
Do you want to stop sharing your screen or blur it? Or no,
is there a way to just copy? There ought to be a copy. We don't have that anymore. Wonder if I can do a create a SAS signature.
Yeah, SAS key.
Yeah, well, let's do. I don't know what permissions it needs. Let's do 8 hours is fine.
Just free, but yeah, that's fine. Just go ahead with everything for now. I mean, don't really.
Yeah, but this is the part. What we'll get into when we're creating this stuff is like doing it live.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to working with the Terraform and Kubernetes because sometimes it's just waiting. It's just that waiting period, So just like, we'll see how it goes.
All right, so I should be able to Dave I search store. Let's do. Can I change it? Get data storage URL. Folder is fine. There we go. So I'll be able to paste that in. So let's just call this Dave Markdown. Dave Storage Markdown. All right. So I've got data. So if I go to index, I'm going to create a new index. The source project data. Yeah, it's this one here. So I can refer to that data. I tell it what indexing service to use. Azure AI Search. I already have an instance of this. Vector settings. So it's going to add the vector settings to the same resource. Yeah, that's fine. And this is the default. I think this default Azure OpenAI, when I open up the hub, it's referring to that index I already created. And then it's going to create its own virtual machine, and I'm just going to call it Dave Store Markdown Index. It usually just creates these random names for them. And create. And this takes a while. So it's going to go to work in indexing it. It pulls it in and indexes it. So yeah, so it found all my files. Right. And then over here, it shows you like the job. Hey, now it's crack, chunk, embed. So if you look at that link that I shared from Greg Comrade at the Data Independent. So he talks about this process in a really great way. But you have to take all that text and break it into pieces, and the pieces, you want to be careful that you don't break it in the middle. If you, let's say you break it in the middle of a word or a sentence, you're going to lose information. So the pieces have to overlap a little bit. So there's some intelligence that has to happen on how that's broken up. So those different approaches, including, was it semantic and vector? You want to have a process that has semantic knowledge of the data that it's indexing, so it knows what the end of a paragraph is, and or what the end of a sentence is. So it's picking a good place to stop. And then once it breaks it into pieces, it turns those words into tokens, tokens into vectors, embedded vectors, and then builds the index out of those numbers. Did you see, while this is running, you see there's a variation of this? It's actually, John Saville did this. He didn't use this AI Studio, but he used the OpenAI environment to build a John bot. So he took all of the transcripts from his YouTube videos, and he used that as a source of information, and he walks through the process of building the index.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
No, I don't watch that one, but yeah, that sounds like a really interesting watch.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's just so much going on. So I don't know how long this will take.
I'm hoping we'll be able to build all bots as well. So yeah, we'll see how. So what you're just waiting for it to now update and
yeah.
So
the end result of this, going back to the thing I already created, right? So I can actually show you. So if I go back to Explore, actually, let's go back to. Go back to our project here. So I can go back to the playground here. So while I'm waiting for that index to build, I think last time it didn't take more than like 10 or 15 minutes, but I don't just want to wait for that here. But now I can come in here. Once it's done, I'll be able to find it here and add your data. So upload files directly, connect to Azure Storage, or connect to AI Search. So if I've already created a source, I think it's going to be in this one. No, this one. And I don't have any index yet. So once that index is done, I should be able to find that in here and then be able to consume it.
Yeah.
Or I'd be able to, right from here, upload files. Oh, here we go. Turn on cores. So I need to figure out how that authentication is being done, because apparently it's letting me just enable cores from here. I don't have to grant it permissions. And then I'm specifying where is that index going to be created. And then I can build an index that way. So there's more than one path here. So use an existing index, or upload files, it will put it into storage and create an index for you, or point to files that are in Azure Storage and use that as the basis for the index. Right. And then, yeah, pretty neat. Dave store index 2, I don't know. And tell it what's embedding model to use. And by the way, I think that they have a new version, a new embedding model here. So this is another way to create an index. It's another separate path. So it sets up that index and says, okay, great, I've got the index. Now give me the files that you want to add to this index, and it builds it for you. So that's the path I went through before. So I don't need to show you all that. But what's interesting, once it's done with the index, I believe I can show you what it looks like when it's done. Yeah, so it created the indexes in here. In here, yeah, it builds the index and stores the components of the indexes in here. So Azure ML Blob Store, This is one, I guess it didn't finish. Container, blob store. Yeah, so Azure ML, and then a bunch of zip files. It's compressing this and building the chunks of this. I don't understand the file storage mechanism here, but that's where it's putting it. And that corresponds to, I'm going to cancel out of this. And
So
then that corresponds. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's another thing for organizations to keep in mind to have secure, because if you're building all these large language models or you're storing your data somewhere in an index form, you might, again, all it takes is a couple of rogue storage accounts which are not, showing, not in private but in public. So that's kind of like the concept. I think Dave just dropped off. He dropped off. But yeah, we probably could take it from there, and we can carry on next week. It's been a lot of fun with the whole AI search, and we'll continue learning, and I think we'll just keep developing. We'll just keep developing the whole area until essentially it will build into something. We'll probably be creating some fun projects or thinking about some fun projects to create as well. But this is definitely just a start to what is even possible. We only hit a tiny fraction of what could be. But yeah, thanks for joining us. It's been great fun. It's been great fun to go through it. Yeah, we'll catch up next week.
Thanks for the opportunity, man. I appreciate you. And it was just small beginnings, man. We're just practicing, and I'm just really enjoying this, exploring and learning it. This is a lot more fun doing it with you, even when things doesn't work and things break and all that. I would much rather do this with you and just play together than try to figure this out by myself in the corner. So I appreciate it. The time I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think this is what a lot of people should be doing. And to be honest, I don't mind live streaming this to the world. As the lessons that we learn, hopefully they will learn as well. So yeah, it's been fun. The next time we're going to hold a session will be on Tuesday at 9:45. It will be on Terraform and Kubernetes and a bit of cloud adoption framework, but essentially I'm going to be leading those sessions, and I'm going to be working through Terraform to build AKS essentially. So I hope you join for that, and yeah, we'll see you there.
Take care. Thanks.